Okay, we're going to go over this example. It says construct a scatter plot, state if there appears to be a positive correlation, negative correlation, or no correlation. So when you're creating your scatter plot, you're just going to take these values 110, 80, and you're going to plot each one of them individually. And based off of your quizzes from last Friday, I know that most of you know how to construct a scatter plot, if not all of you. So you're going to go 110 up to 80. And if you create your scatter plot perfectly, it should look something like this, right? Okay. State if there appears to be a positive correlation, negative correlation, or no correlation. So looking at this graph, we can see that all of our data values are decreasing as we go to the right. So this means that there's a negative correlation. But we have to confirm by looking at the correlation coefficient. So using the graphing calculator, you can go to stat, edit is the first thing. So click enter. Then you type in all your values. So you notice I typed in 110 and 80. 110 goes in list 1, 80 goes in list 2, and then 220, 70, 240, 70, 460, 60, all the way down, right? So then once you typed in all your values, you're going to go stat calc and option 4 lin reg, and you press enter. Oops, I forgot to change one setting. So I got to go to diagnostic on. So now that I've turned that setting on, I'm going to go back to stat calc option 4, and we see this R value, negative 0.991. Remember that if our R value is close to 1 or close to negative 1, that means that it's a strong correlation. If it's positive, that means it's a positive correlation. If it's negative, that means that it's a negative correlation, right? So in this case, we have negative 0.991, or if we round it to the thousands place, it'd be negative 0.992. So that would give us a negative strong correlation. Also, we see this y equals ax plus b, and they're giving us a is equal to negative 0.07028. This is the slope, right, of our regression line. If the slope of our regression line is negative, that means that it's a negative correlation. If it's positive, that means that it's a positive correlation. So these two signs should be the same, right? The only time that they wouldn't be the same is if there is no correlation. The other way that we can do this is if we go to Desmos, and you go to desmos.com, right? You click Start Graphing. From there, we have to tell Desmos that we want to graph a regression line. So you have to click on the 3 lines on the left, and you're going to scroll down to Statistics, Linear Regression, which is what we're doing. Click that, Open Graph, right? And it gives you this data table. And what I've already done is I've already typed in the data values, right? And I'm going to change the window so that I can see all of the data. So I'm going to go to this little wrench, which is the settings, and the lowest X value is 110. So I'm going to type in, for the lowest X, I type in 100. And the greatest X value is 1000. So I'm going to type in 1000. For the Y values, the lowest is 20. So I'm going to change that to 10. And then the highest is 80. So I'm going to change this to 90. So now we see our entire graph, right? We see our regression line. Our regression line obviously is decreasing. So that means that the slope is negative. And then just to confirm, Desmos also gives us the regression. It gives us the R value negative 0.992, which is the same as a graphing calculator. It gives us the slope is negative 0.070, and the y-intercept is 88. So when you're writing the equation of the regression line on the quiz or test, you're just going to type it in as y equals. Then we're going to use the m value, which is negative 0.07, and then the b value, which is right here, plus 88.453, right? If you type that in, oops, sorry, we need to put x here. So now the blue line overlaps the orange line, right? So that means that they're the same line. And if we look back at our graphing calculator, the slope, negative 0.070, matches, and the y-intercept, 88.453, also matches. All right. So this was a video on how to construct a scatter plot, how to use the graphing calculator, how to use Desmos to help you do that, to identify the regression line, and how to calculate the correlation coefficient. Remember, the correlation coefficient, if it's close to +1 or -1, that means it's a strong relationship. If it's 0.5 or -0.5, that means that it's a moderate. If it's less than 0.5 or less than -0.5, that means that it's weak. If it's really close to 0, that means that there's no correlation. All right. And you do have a chart on that in one of your notes for the correlation coefficient. So make sure you double check that. Okay. Have a good day.